Welcome back to the Sport Optics channel, guys. I'm Jace, and today we're here to talk about a extremely exciting new product coming out from Burris this year, and that is going to be none other than the Eliminator 6. We actually had an interview with one of the guys from Burris over at SHOT Show with a little more of a breakdown. So if you want to check out that interview as well, you can click here or check the description below. The Burris Eliminator 6 is not only the most advanced scope that Burris themselves has came out with, it's also one of the most advanced scopes in the optics industry entirely. This scope is going to be able to range 2,000 plus yards, which in a realistic hunting scenario, that's more than anybody's ever realistically going to use, but still cool that it has the ability. And then once you actually put in your data, no matter what caliber you're using, whether it be 308, 6.5 Creed, or any other good hunting caliber, this thing is going to give you pinpoint accuracy at whatever distance that you need to ethically take an animal at. So just to go over some of the physical attributes of the scope itself, starting off, as you can tell, it just looks like your everyday scope, right? Which is revolutionary for this type of product because up until now, range finding scopes have essentially looked like a baseball bat / bread box sitting on top of your gun, right? So the fact that Burris has been able to essentially slim this guy down, put it in a 34 millimeter tube with a 52 millimeter objective is absolutely awesome. Now, obviously this still is not a small lightweight scope by no means, but as you can see, it's on a Sig Cross rifle that's known to be low profile and lightweight, and this doesn't look weird or out of place or anything like that. And as far as how you work the scope itself, it's extremely straightforward. You have a very simple 3-button design here on what would be the parallax adjustment knob. You have your actual ranging button and a brightness up and down button. As simple as that. Everything you need to do on the scope itself is done through the app, so the controls are extremely simple. It's also going to come with a small remote that you can keep on your person or place somewhere on the firearm if you don't want to actually reach to the side of the scope to do your range finding. As far as the amount of adjustment in the scope, it's almost kind of a non-factor. You have 40 MOA of adjustment, which is plenty enough to get it zeroed and then some, but the whole purpose of the scope is to be able to range and use holdovers, right? So while that may not sound like it's a lot of adjustment, for this type of scope, it's plenty and it's going to do everything you need it to do. Also, speaking of amount of adjustment, this scope adjusts in 1/8 MOA increments versus your average 1/4, so you can get the absolute most precise zero possible on this guy. All right, so now that we know what it does, let's get into a little bit of how it does what it does so well. So we know that the Eliminator series from Burris has been around for a while. It's a tried and true system and it works pretty well as is. But the Eliminator 6 series essentially takes everything that it's already doing well and kicks it up a notch and makes it even more of an accurate system. So it's going to be more intuitive and have even more features to make for an absolutely accurate system. So, and what I mean by that is it's going to have an internal thermometer to measure temperature, a barometer for air pressure, an inclinometer for elevation, all the ohmmeters that you need. So essentially, once you have this zeroed and set up for your particular load, no matter where you take it, whether you're down here in Louisiana, whether you take it at on a mountainside in Colorado, the scope itself is going to take into account your change in atmospherics to still give you an accurate holdover when you measure that game. So, like y'all have heard me talk about, one of the most notable features about the new Eliminator 6 is the fact that the entire system can be set up within the Burris Connect app. For anybody that may be familiar with it or have used one of the Eliminators in the past, they had to be set up via a preloaded library on the scope itself. And it wasn't a hard system, but it wasn't super user-friendly. A lot of times I would just tell customers to contact Burris customer support and have them set up the scope over the phone. But now with the app, it's extremely user-friendly, extremely easy to set up, and it all works via Bluetooth. And then once you Bluetooth the information into your scope, then your phone is a non-factor. If you lose service, don't have Bluetooth, it dies, whatever. Everything is preloaded within the scope. So with all that being said, I kind of wanted to go over the app and some of its features and how exactly it's so user-friendly so you know exactly what you might be dealing with. So to start off with, we are going to go into the app itself. You see that I've already connected the scope here, which is a super easy process to connect. You literally just turn it on via the ranging button, and then once you go into the app, it's going to show up right there. You click on it, connected, easy as that. So once I go into the scope itself, you can see that I can upload ballistic data, which is either going to come into play if I am switching the scope between different guns or if I'm using different loads within the same gun. And then from there, you have your distance, obviously whether you want it measured in yards and meters, which is cool. You know, a lot of people do still prefer meters in America. You can choose your temperature, Fahrenheit or Celsius. You can choose your energy readout, which what that means is one of the Eliminator's coolest features, in my opinion, is when you range a target, it'll essentially tell you what your foot-pounds of energy on that target is going to be at that distance, which is extremely important if you're wanting to take an ethical shot and that animal is on the cusp of being within reasonable distance to where you're going to have enough foot-pounds to take it down. You can adjust your wind speed for your windage corrections that you're going to see in your field of view. You have your units that your wind speed can be measured in. And then you can go into the reticles itself to make adjustments to just the little quality of life type stuff. And overall, relatively simple, pretty straightforward. You put in whatever data that is accurate for you, it Bluetooths to the scope, and you're ready to rock it. All in all, it might take you 5-10 minutes max. And you can even do hand loads, which is something I forgot to mention, but is something that was generally absent in the previous models. So another super, super cool feature. Now that we've talked about what goes into the information that's going to be in the reticle, let's talk a little bit about the reticle itself. So you'll see here behind me what exactly that reticle looks like. So what exactly you're going to be seeing when you're looking through this scope. That large number there is going to be your actual ranging distance. You'll see the numbers off to the left-hand side are going to represent your foot-pounds and also your velocity at your given range distance. And then you'll have the information on the right for temperature and the actual hold. And then the reticle itself is Burris's new X177 reticle, which is essentially an improvement on the X96 that was in the previous Eliminator series. And once you actually range your target, you'll get a illuminated, speaking of, a very crisp illuminated dot in that reticle, as well as a wind hold if you have set it up to show. And essentially the rest is all up to you. This scope is really kind of a get good in, get good out type of system. As long as you're doing everything on your part, the scope is almost a cheat code, and the reticle is going to do very well for you. And speaking of, another thing I'd like to highlight is, if for anybody that's ever used one of the previous Eliminator scopes, the glass always had kind of a yellowish tint to it. It was part of the coatings needed to have the reticle show up exactly how it was supposed to. Well, with some improvements and a little bit of secret sauce, Burris has managed to virtually eliminate that yellow tint. So you'll notice a stark increase in optical quality in the Eliminator 6 over the previous Eliminator models. Guys, thank you so much for your time and for watching our video today. If you have any questions about the Eliminator 6 or anything else we have over here at Sport Optics, please feel free to give us a call or reach out to me on any of my socials. And for more information regarding the release and availability of the Eliminator 6, please stay tuned to the socials, as well as consider signing up for email alerts. Speaking of, make sure to like, share, and subscribe this video. Comment and question anything that you want to see from us in the future, and we'll see you on the next one.